Warm days and chilly nights and mornings means now is the perfect time to schedule a $99 heating and cooling check with the 5-star experts at Crop Metcalf. That's right, for just $99, a Crop Metcalf 5-star technician will check both your home's heating and cooling system for one low price. Call today and get peace of mind no matter what the weather is tomorrow. 1-800-GO-CROP or visit cropmetcalf.com. And remember,
Crop Metcalf is the one with 5 stars.
Crop Metcalf, home of the 5-star technician and proud partner of the Washington Nationals.
It's Saturday the 19th of October. I'm Ciara Revens, and this was a week that saw Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar killed by Israel, Labour focused on economic growth, Kamala Harris faced down Fox News, and tragic news from Buenos Aires.
Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
but not the news.
This week saw Israel continue its campaign against Hezbollah in Lebanon while also restarting strikes in Gaza. The military action in Lebanon brought Israeli troops face to face with UN peacekeepers, and 15 of them suffered minor injuries on Sunday after 2 Israeli tanks pushed into a UNIFIL position in Ramiyah just hours after Israeli PM Netanyahu warned UNIFIL to leave the area.
I'd like to appeal directly to the UN Secretary General. It is time for you to remove UNIFIL from Hezbollah's strongholds and from the fighting areas. The IDF has repeatedly asked for this and has been met with repeated refusals, all aimed at providing a human shield to Hezbollah terrorists.
In response to the escalating violence, Iran's Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Qualibaf, reaffirmed Tehran's support for Lebanon.
I'm particularly carrying a message from the Supreme Leader with assurances that, in these difficult conditions, the Islamic Republic of Iran shall stand with Lebanon's nation, government, and the resistance in all areas.
Sunday also saw a drone attack on an Israeli military, which led to a US pledge of additional air defence systems for Israel, along with US crews to operate them. Meanwhile, Israel continued to strike targets in Lebanon and Gaza, killing at least 21 people on Monday after they hit an apartment building in North Lebanon. Israel also continued to pressurise the UN to remove its UNIFIL peacekeeping force from Lebanon as tensions continued to rise. Elon Levy, a former spokesperson for the Israeli president, says UNIFIL have failed in their mission.
They allowed Hezbollah to build a mighty terrorist army with 200,000 missiles and then started using them at the behest of Iran. And so Israel now finds itself, after a year of already being attacked by Hezbollah, saying, look, if the world isn't going to stop Hezbollah, no one else is going to do it but us.
A joint statement from Italy, France, Germany and the UK on Monday condemned the attacks on the peacekeepers and warned that Israel is in breach of international law. Irish Deputy PM and Minister for Foreign Affairs Micheál Martin says it's a serious issue and that Israel appears to want to dry the eyes and ears out of South Lebanon.
Israel is essentially now undermining the United Nations, and it needs to step back, and the international community need to be very clear about the primacy of the international rules-based order. The United Nations is at the heart of that, and it is very, very concerning.
The US government confirmed on Tuesday that it has issued a formal warning to Israel that it will lose access to US funding for weapons unless conditions in Gaza dramatically improve within the next 30 days. The letter, signed by Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Secretary of Defence Lloyd Austin, says that Israel must commit to a minimum of 350 aid trucks per day and agree to humanitarian pauses and increased security for aid workers. Israel has says it will address the concerns. The ultimatum came as Israel continued to spar with the United Nations over the role of the UNIFIL peacekeepers in Lebanon. There have been numerous incidents where peacekeepers have been put at risk and several have been injured by Israeli forces. PM Netanyahu denies that but continues to maintain that UN peacekeepers should not be on the ground in Lebanon.
The charge that Israel deliberately attacked UNIFIL personnel is completely false. Israel repeatedly asked UNIFIL to get out of harm's way. It repeatedly asked them to temporarily leave the combat zone.
Thursday saw a major development in Israel's war with Hamas as just over a year after the massacre that saw the deaths of 1,200 Israelis, the IDF caught and killed the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the nation on Thursday evening.
He who killed and caused the worst massacre ever since the Holocaust. He was killed by our soldiers, our heroic soldiers, and We have finished our accounts with him.
Despite a year-long manhunt, the eventual death of the Hamas leader appeared to be almost accidental, and it took a number of hours for Israel to confirm his identity. The hope is that this will signal the end of a brutal conflict that has seen Gaza destroyed by Israeli bombardments and over 42,000 Palestinians killed. US President Joe Biden called it a good day for Israel, the United States and the world. And Vice President Kamala Harris made it clear that this should be a turning point in the war.
Hamas is decimated and its leadership is eliminated. This moment gives us an opportunity to finally end the war in Gaza.
Monday saw Labour roll out the red carpet for big business as it hosted an international investment summit aimed at driving the UK's economy into higher gear. Guests, including CEOs of some of the world's biggest companies, got to meet King Charles, were serenaded by Elton John and served food by 3-star Michelin chef Claire Smith. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said it's all about one thing.
Growth is the cause that binds us together. It's why we've made it the number one test of this government. And I'm determined to do everything in my power to galvanise growth.
The government are calling it a huge success, booking what they say is £63 billion worth of investment and 38,000 jobs. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy said the investment reflects faith in the new government's plans.
They're excited about the prospects that a genuine partnership with a stable British government affords to them. And Britain is open for business, and we have a serious government that is going to enable living standards to improve.
A suggestion from Health Secretary Wes Streeting that the government would begin trials of weight loss drugs for the unemployed caused controversy on Tuesday. He was writing in the Telegraph as the government announced a new study from pharmaceutical manufacturer Lilly, which would see trials in Manchester aimed at reducing obesity levels to allow people to return to work. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that obesity does put a tremendous strain on the NHS and the economy.
This drug will be very helpful to people who want to lose weight, need to lose weight. Very important for the economy so that people can get back into work. Very important for the NHS because we've got to reduce the pressure on the NHS.
There were warnings from obesity experts that simply prescribing a drug won't fix the problem and that the ongoing treatment could be hugely expensive. Former Tory Health Minister Lord Bethell also was cautioning that there's no magic wand to fix the nation's health crisis.
It will cost a lot of money. There's no getting away from that. This isn't a miracle cure that's going to cheaply solve that. I do really encourage our politicians to show moral courage in this. They've got to say to the nation, we have got a big obesity problem. We all need to collectively change our behaviours.
With 2 weeks to go until Budget Day, Chancellor Rachel Reeves has continued to sound the alarm bell at Cabinet over the £22 billion black hole in the government finances. She's also made clear that unless action is taken, that deficit could climb to £100 billion over the lifetime of the government and that there will be no backing down on the necessary cuts to come. She's believed to be considering a rise in the national insurance rate for employers, although the party's manifesto ruled out tax rises for working people. Craig Beaumont, Executive Director of the Federation of Small Businesses, says a national insurance rise would affect small businesses.
It's a clear manifesto breach. They made a promise to the small business community. They had a small business plan. They had a manifesto that said no increase on national insurance. They didn't specify within that which bits of national insurance, and this will hit working people. There
was some good economic news for the UK on Wednesday as inflation took a dramatic dip below the magic number of 2%. Figures for September showed inflation at 1.7%, driven in part by lower airfares and petrol prices, and it could be enough to trigger a Bank of England rate cut. Chief Secretary of the Treasury Darren Jones was sounding positive, but with budget less than 2 weeks away, he wasn't celebrating anything just yet.
Well, look, it's good news for family finances that inflation has fallen below 2%. But of course, there's more work to be done to protect working people and bring stability and growth back to the economy, which is what the Chancellor and this government is doing now and in the run-up to the budget at the end of October.
On the other side of the House, the Shadow Chief Secretary of the Treasury, Nigel Huddleston, was busy claiming credit for Rishi Sunak and the previous Tory government.
This reduction is largely a result of the difficult decisions that we made when we were in power, we were in government. So the reduction is good news. It was the number one point of the previous government's economic strategy.
The assisted dying bill was introduced into Parliament on Wednesday and the first vote on it is expected to take place at the end of November. The bill has proved highly controversial with protests outside Parliament from both sides of the argument. The Archbishop of Canterbury also weighed in an unusual public intervention, saying that the proposed bill was dangerous and could lead to a slippery slope that would see people feeling compelled to have their life ended medically. The bill has attracted support from TV personality and campaigner Esther Ranson, who herself faces a terminal diagnosis. Labour's Kim Leadbeater introduced the bill and she said it will have clear safeguards.
These are people who are dying, so it's not about ending their life, it's about shortening their death. And then what we have to do is look at that individual person's ability to sign up for this process.
Incredibly, almost 2 weeks after Keir Starmer paid back the value of the complimentary tickets he received to see Taylor Swift, the story continues to rumble through the media. As the government works on a new set of rules for gifts, various ministers have been rushing to declare Tay-Tay tickets and football seats. There was also a prolonged episode about whether or not Swift had been given extra security on the back of meeting the Prime Minister, even though her Vienna concerts had to be cancelled entirely because of a credible terror threat. Amazingly, the Tories, famous for under-declaration of gifts, attempted to raise the matter again in Parliament on Thursday, with Shadow Leader of the House asking for clarification on why the security was granted. Labour's Leader of the House, Lucy Powell, sounded like she was out of patience.
And perhaps, I know he's interested in quoting other people, he might want to read what the Conservative peer Andrew Lloyd Webber said. He said the continued attention on this concert is ludicrous. I think it's about time they shake it off.
There's just over 2 weeks to go until the US presidential election on November 5th, and Kamala Harris is maintaining a slight lead in the national polls from former President Trump. However, Trump has been making ground in some critical swing states, and it appears as though the election is just too close to call. But there was some good news for Harris and Walz, who were able to add another name to their long list of celebrity endorsements. Speaking at a reproductive rights rally in Phoenix on Saturday, Breaking Bad actor Bryan Cranston says it's important to safeguard the rights of future generations.
I am a father of a daughter, and it's important to me to be able to have the fundamental right of freedom of choice. And that's why I'm enthusiastically supporting Vice President Harris and Governor Walz.
The eventual winner will be whoever gets 270 votes in the Electoral College, and both candidates are going all out in the final weeks to make as much impact as they can. Harris was due to sit down with Fox News this week for an interview, and in advance of that she released her medical records over the weekend while challenging Trump to do the same.
His staff won't let him do a 60 Minutes interview. Every president for the last half century has done one, anyone who's running for president. He will not debate me again. I put out my medical records, he won't put out his medical records. And you have to ask, why is his staff doing that?
Trump had various media appearances this week, largely on Fox News, but he also did a town hall event on Spanish network Univision. He faced tough questions from a crowd of Latino voters, but failed to answer convincingly on crucial topics. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris sat down with Fox News anchor Brett Baier for a head-to-head interview on Donald's favourite channel. It was a combative event, with Baier playing clips of Trump campaign ads and excerpts from interviews with him, but Harris was in no mood to be pushed around.
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you...
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. This is a democracy.
Former First Minister of Scotland, Alex Salmond, died suddenly last Sunday at the age of 69. The Alba Party leader collapsed during a conference in North Macedonia and was pronounced dead at the scene. Having led the SNP to power in 2007 and then to an unprecedented majority in 2011, he also guided the party through the unsuccessful 2014 Scottish independence referendum. Stepping down after Scotland voted to remain in the UK, things quickly unravelled. A string of sexual harassment allegations led to a spectacular fallout with his successor, Nicola Sturgeon. In 2020, Salmond was acquitted of 13 sexual offence charges from 9 women, but admitted to inappropriate behaviour. Current First Minister John Swinney called him a significant figure in Scottish politics.
He inspired a generation of people to believe in Scottish independence. So Alec left a fundamental footprint on Scottish politics.
Still to come on the Standout 7, England gets a new manager and tragic news from Buenos Aires.
Right after this.
At Leidos, a brilliant mind is smart, but a brilliant team is smarter. A ship that finds enemy subs is smart, but an autonomous fleet, that's smarter. Defending against cyber attacks? Smart. Stopping attacks before they start? Smarter. And using AI tools is smart, but integrating trusted mission AI into your technology is smarter. We're not just making technology solutions in national security and health. We're making smart smarter. Leidos.
Welcome back.
Ukrainian President Zelensky has been waiting patiently to present his victory plan, but a planned summit in Germany, which was due to see US President Joe Biden attend, was cancelled after Hurricane Milton intervened. Zelensky spent last weekend visiting individual European leaders, including Keir Starmer, Olaf Scholz and even the Pope, to drum up support. He also says North Korea is now supplying troops as well as weapons to Russia, and the EU foreign ministers discussed the situation at their meeting on Monday. Sweden's Foreign Minister Maria Malmer Stenergard says there will be consequences for those who side with Russia.
Swedish and European support continues to be strong, and we will continue to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. We need to continue working on the sanctions against those who somehow contribute to Russia's unlawful war in Ukraine.
Thursday saw Ukrainian President Zelensky in Brussels to present his victory plan to the 27 leaders of the EU. It's a 5-point plan that includes a further request for the lifting of restrictions on long-range weapons, more sanctions on Russia and an unconditional invitation to join NATO. He's also requesting what he calls a deterrence package on Ukrainian land to be supplied by NATO and intended to halt the advance of Vladimir Putin's troops. He said if Ukraine's allies buy into the plan, things could move quickly.
The victory plan is designed for this moment, and I urge all of you to help make it happen. If we start now and follow the victory plan, we can end this war no later than next year.
The reaction from EU leaders was mixed, with strong support from Lithuania, whose Prime Minister warned that Europe's hesitation leaves the door open for Putin. The new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte was sounding positive but also cautious.
Yes, in the future NATO will have 34th member, we will have Ukraine. But Ukraine will be a member of NATO in the future. That is what we decided in Washington. So the question is not about the timeline.
The FA presented England's new manager to fans on Wednesday, and it's a familiar face from Chelsea and Bayern boss Thomas Tuchel. The media reaction wasn't great, with lederhosen jokes and a reference to a dark day for England, principally because Thomas is a German citizen. That kind of attitude probably won't make his job any easier, and he's not even the first foreign manager, as Sven-Göran Eriksson and Fabio Cavalli have already given the job a go. Tuchel was sounding positive and optimistic. He doesn't start until the 1st of January, and as far as he's concerned, he has one mission: to get a second World Cup star on England's shirt.
Hopefully I can convince them and show them and prove them that I'm proud to be the English manager. I will do everything to show respect to this role and to this country, and the target for the next 18 months is nothing else.
There was tragic news on Wednesday night as former member of One Direction Liam Payne died after what appeared to be a fall from a third-floor balcony of his hotel. TMZ reported the incident and local police confirmed it, but it's still not clear what exactly happened, although a 911 call from the hotel staff was released.
Good morning. I'm calling from Hotel Casa Sur Palermo, Costa Rica 6032.
What is happening, sir?
We have a guest drunk on drugs and alcohol. When he's conscious, he's breaking everything in the room. We need to send someone with urgency because I don't know if the guest's life is in danger, because he's in a room with a balcony and we were afraid he could do something that threatens his life.
He sold more than 70 million records as a member of One Direction, but had struggled to find the same success as a solo artist. There were tributes from the music industry and former X Factor host Dermot O'Leary, who described Payne as a joy and always humble. Guardian music editor Ben Bowman Thomas told Sky News that Liam Payne was a big part of One Direction's success.
You don't become a huge successful band off a talent show without having absolutely bags of personality, personality and sort of guile and excitement around them. And Liam was a big part of that.
Friday saw a joint statement from his One Direction bandmates who said they would always treasure the memories they shared with him and that they would miss him terribly. Fellow contestant on X Factor Mary Byrne told Sky News what it was like to share a house with Liam and his bandmates on the show.
Liam in particular was kind of, in my eyes, the wise one of them all, because he used to kind of try and keep the group together. And to me, he had the stronger head on his shoulders. And I was quite shocked to hear what happened.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.
At Jiffy Lube, we car about cars. In fact, we're kinda obsessed. That's why we've been taking care of business with quick quality oil changes and service for over 40 years. And with things like our Carful Vehicle Review, where our experts will check, fill, clean, and inspect your vehicle, you'll know we'll car for your car like we car for our own. Jiffy Lube. Car more.
Visit jiffylubedc.com to find a Jiffy Lube service center near you.